Interesting strategies coming out from both sides, as we saw the Hog and the Teleport to Gods coming out from andinster. As we get into picks and bans, we won't see their items, but we'll see their Gods, and maybe that'll tip their hand into what they're going to be building. Cloud9 going to be on the left side, choosing the first pick.
Denial eSports, they're going to have the counter pick if they elect so in the soul lane, although, soul lane isn't really getting counterpicked anymore. Not that there aren't counter picks in the soul lane, but most of the time we're actually just seeing, Wukong first picked, and then they already know what they're facing.
You get a Bluestone Wukong, and then the answer is, I guess I can go Osiris or Herc. Or just say, screw the laning phase and do whatever I want, right? Like, that's sort
true.
of the decision-making that's coming out here. Teams are sort of deciding, do they want to deal with the laning phase of Sun Wukong?
Isis and Hell going to be banned out. Kepri on the other side, and Giannis. So I believe these are actually the same bans, although reversed sides. No, because we saw a Giannis. Never mind. Sun Wukong going to be first picked. Once again, going
Surprise.
to Baskin. Baskin, I mean, he had a solid game, all game. Good laning phase, just a big part of the team fights. It was just about helping and protecting BaRRaCCuDDa, and a lot of times, actually, Baskin would dive BronxBombers as well if no one else could get to the backline, disrupt him, and force the team to try and retreat and protect him.
Geb and Serqet being picked up here from Denial as one more time.
Yes
Serqet
to the
left
Geb.
off the ban.
Yes to the, you saw Shing, right? I mean, he didn't go damage early on. He went straight into, Mail of Renewal.
Mail of Renewal. Right.
And then into Jotuns, and then into the Malice. It took a little bit longer for him to get his damage online. Mm-hmm. Actually, I lied. It was Jotuns, Mail of Renewal, Titan's Bane, Malice,
right.
I think.
Yeah, the Titan's
So it took
Bane
a little bit longer to get crit online, and by that time it was too late. And the Geb shield was just super strong. It wasn't allowing him to make any impact on the team fights at all. That's actually the few times we saw, Jeff shield stealth was when Shing full committed onto that Giannis.
Well, with the Giannis banned out from Denial, Stealth instead is going to go with New. This is a character that a lot of mid laners have played recently, and a large part of that is due to MLC Stealth. MLC was one of the players that really, and his team Cloud9 was one of the squads that really sort of brought this back to the forefront.
I'd say Lassus was the first one who played it.
Lassus
and then Kiki. They played it once, but then Stealth, you're right, Stealth was the guy who was playing it every game, and Cloud9 was really utilizing it.
Thor also selected, and again, andinster, very interesting items coming out from him, a lot of which worked. And just had so much
I want to know about
that
Teleport to Gods. If Denial win this and we get a Denial interview, I'm asking about Hog, and I'm asking him on Twitter what the heck was with that Teleport to Gods.
So the Teleport to Gods, actually, as we go into our third round of bans, and Denial says no more Shibalake, thank you, but no thank you, and Poseidon banned out by Cloud9. The Teleport to Gods was purchased so late. What I think happened there, Kevin, and again, we'll have to ask, is everybody had all this gold. Everybody had tons of gold, like you said. Thor was able to purchase Teleport to Gods, and just come right back to the fight. And it seems cheeky, but if the intent for Cloud9 is to win in that engagement, you want all 5 players there. And I think that's exactly what happened. It was the Omega. It was the teleport back to the fight, and then that final fight actually won the game. So I think that was the game plan, and it worked out well.
Bellona once again going to Whalrus. So Denial right now running the same team composition, trading out Sylvanas for Geb though, which is I think a good look for them. Huyi locked in the 1v1 god. This is actually a lot of ADC players say that they really love Huyi into this Freya matchup. It's just Huyi is so good at 1v1ing, can do a lot to disrupt Freya. More importantly though is the sun's coming down. Mm-hmm. It hits a lot, and it hits a lot. It's a big wide ranged damage ultimate. Ticks a lot and slows, and Freya has a lot of trouble going out of it. Most of the times, she's forced to ult because she has no leap or movement ability outside of that.
Exactly, and then once Freya lands, you can go into the stun with the Mark of the Crow on top, and Huyi is just a character that is very execution-oriented, but when you execute well, it works out very strongly. Puch, kind of similar.
There's 2 really big hyper carries in the Puch and Freya, and Denial had enough trouble trying to keep Bronx alive last game with their team comp. This time, once again, they're going the Geb. They're trying to protect a hyper carry in Freya, but they also have the Puch to protect as well. And Puch and Freya don't really have a lot of peel for themselves, and Puch especially can get dove super hard.
Yeah, and I liked what I saw out of Macetodaface really come around and provide a lot of spacing, a lot of control with the ultimates and the stuns. And we're just not going to have that. We're going to have the opposite. Macetodaface will actually try to provide the same thing, by way of just pure damage. Don't come here because instead of stunning you with a meteor, I'm just going to stun you because you're surprised you took so much damage with a single ability.
They just like freeze at their computers, like they can't move. Like, F my life, level 4.
I mean, that's what happens to me.
Hey, man.
That's why I'm Wood League. I just sit there and I get hit for 80% of my HP,
Hey,
and I alt-tab and write a letter to Pong.
At least you're not Plastic League, right? That's at least you're not plastic. There's something always worse than wood. BaRRaCCuDDa electing to go Transcendence build, starting with that Bluestone pendant. So, Hu-Yi, a lot about auto attacks. Because really, while his abilities hit strong, Ricochet, it is never guaranteed to hit a Ricochet. It's an amazing when you can do it. It's a ton of burst, but it's something that's not guaranteed. And in a game like Smite, where it's all about skill shots, having to hit one of the hardest skill shots when players are actively juking it, it's just not going to happen on demand.
I will say, the first player, and Zapman's doing rather well. Zapman plays a lot of Hu-Yi, but not at the level I'm talking about. The first player that can, on demand, hit ricochets will absolutely break open this character. This character, if you can depend, like you said, you can't really depend on it. But if you can start to depend on the ricochets and the stuns that come from the ricochets and the setup from that, and the extra damage, all of a sudden this character becomes one of the best in the game.
That's all about experience, though, and
Exactly.
there's just not a lot of people who have. I mean, there's Diamond Hu-Yis. Most of the Hunter players are probably Diamond or up there.
Of course, but he's still relatively new in comparison to the rest of the
It's
squad.
about, like, I know the angles of the map. I know that when I bounce it off this wall standing here that I am going to tag a person up.
I mean, how long has Giannis been out? And we're just seeing these, like, the long-range portals on the side of the, what is that, the dual lane that you can portal all the way down? We're just seeing players sort of learn these intricacies. And you got to think the intricacies when it comes to Hu-Yi ricochets are even smaller.
JeffHindla, BaRRaCCuDDa, control of this lane so far. Shadowq and Bronx, not the best laning phase between them. Jeff just off the mark. Shadowq a little bit too fast. Who knew a rock was fast?
Well, damage coming out from Bronx to start clearing the wave just a little bit. JeffHindla, I love Sobek.
That was a you joke. Who knew a rock was fast? That was, I mean, it was a poorly executed F-dot joke, but that was definitely an F-dot joke. Ooh, look at this early aggression. Whalrus smells something out, but it might be a little bit too late. Double tap's going to connect. A great stun by Baskin, and he's going to lock down first blood.
Early first blood go to the way of the blue and white. 1 kill, just a minute and a half in. You know, if you wanted to make that an F-dot joke, you'd have to tie that with a pop culture reference.
I don't even stop.
Who knew that rock was fast?
Stop.
Not in comparison to Techno, but it's a high BPM. Something like that.
Baskin, early first blood in his lane. And, you know, Whalrus actually did a good job in the lane matchup. I mean, coming into team fights, I think Baskin was a little bit more effective in game 1. But, you know, Whalrus, he actually got his lane, he had Shing come over and I believe that was first blood, right? In game 1 was when Shing. Oh no, actually that was
when Shing
died.
Yes.
There was a time though that where Shing came back to that lane afterwards and killed Baskin with Whalrus, and from there Whalrus really took control of that lane.
Yeah, and we'll look to see probably the same. Whalrus has been growing throughout the split and has really started to be able to contend with some of the more experienced solo laners here. Andy going to play cheeky, and surprise, I'm in the fog and get a good stun onto Macetodaface, dealing out some damage, but MLC Stealth unable to find that route. And because of that, Opwash will go ahead under tower and head back to base.
You could actually see the dual lane from Denial rotate over there just in case that fight broke out a little bit more and got chased down. They had cleared the wave. There was no more XP in that dual lane. Tried to rotate over, but, you know, the fight, nothing came of it, so they're going back to farming for now.
JeffHindla on this Sobek. Sobek's a character that he's so scary in the lane. Sobek makes freezing the wave and zoning the opponent out so easy, but at this level with a Gab on the other side, it becomes a much different story. There's so many different variables in that duo lane for it to really be able to be balanced. And right now, so much attention from Cloud9 being shown onto the other side of the map here in the solo lane.
And this is what I was talking about earlier, in that the game plan has really changed for andinster and Cloud9 coming into this fall split, is that andinster is really starting to put a lot more pressure on the lanes. And, you know, andinster was the guy who's like, but it's not efficient. I can't gank. I'd rather farm, because what if I don't get the gank? You know, that's andinster just liked having a perfect route and having a perfect plan, but sometimes that doesn't work, especially now where a lot of it's about putting pressure on the lanes and allowing your hyper carries to get ahead, allowing, you know, your lane your players in lane to dominate and get leads that way.
And a lot of what Andy used to do was spend time in mid lane with MLC Stealth. And
he would split. That's the thing. He was like, He's like, we have to 3-man split this, 3-man
Right.
split this, 2-man split this, 3-man split this, and then we'll be ahead of them by the 5th minute, and then we'll take a fight and invade their speed buff. Like, that was their game plan.
And that worked out when you had a player like Omega in the solo lane who not only can handle himself, but actively yell at you to get out of his lane. But Omega, again, going back to the difference in playstyle between the old solo laner and the new solo laner for Cloud9, Omega would largely stay by himself, play these tanky bruisers, and hang out, and didn't need to be put ahead because he was Hercules or Chalk or Sun Wukong, and would just clear the wave and farm up. Baskin playing, sure, Sun Wukong today, but more of that aggressive style, so andinster has been paying more attention, maybe not as much as Weekend does to Cyclone Spin, but that's the thought process, right? Put the solo lane ahead a little bit.
andinster just barely avoiding that explosion. So there actually is some counterplay to Puch. It's not the easiest, but if you can actually time the auto, so what he does, he throws out the corpses and then you can blow them up. But actually, if you can time killing a corpse before the explosion happens, because there actually is an explosion to delay.
Right.
If there's no corpse, there's no damage. So you can actually significantly reduce Puch's damage, but it's very hard to coordinate with that team. Like, all right, take out the left zombie first and then the right corpse next. But
And
there's also time to juke out.
It's also a gamble. It's sure if I kill this corpse, I won't take much damage. But if I don't, I will have to back. I mean, like,
Sometimes the risks are worth it.
Very true.
Not really.
Puch is he's just one of the highest damage dealing mages in the game. And because of that, the trade-off is that he's very unsafe. So if andinster gets the right ultimate onto Macetodaface, he's toast. Which is why we're seeing Mace play so close to the tower, unless he's joined here by Geb.
andinster just out of that ward range. You can see the cameraman.
He walked over
ping
it
there
before.
for you. Oh, did he for just half that time? He's definitely over it now.
Look at Whalrus. I mean, just
To be
showing
fair,
with the
that
body language.
Whalrus has been like expecting ganks all the time. Look at this though.
And it
Shing's here as
doesn't
well.
matter. Oh, Shing threw Cloud9 for a loop. They walked over the ward. Whalrus showed Cloud9, I know you're here. And Cloud9 didn't care until support showed up. Once Shing was in the area, all right, we were down to dive your friend 2-on-1. Now it's an even fight. We don't want any part of this.
In the meantime, on the left-hand side, we actually saw BaRRaCCuDDa able to take out BronxBombers. Right side, though.
Up, down, coming out from Whalrus. He will get smacked by Baskin for the kill, and he's still in the air. He won't go aggressive, though. He'll land safely under his own tower. And again, Cloud9, they didn't want to fight the 2-on-1. They'll take the numbers advantage and fight 2-on-1 onto, or they didn't want to take the 2-on-2. They fought 2-on-1 onto Denial instead and pick up the solo laner.
I'm really surprised Shing went in there. Bluestone, it might be enough. It's going to be close. I guarantee you
Just
Shing's...
barely.
I guarantee you Shing's HP 5, like, ticked there. Because he was dead. I was really confused that he was actually being very aggressive into that tower because Bluestone Wukong does a lot of damage, and Baskin had boots 3. Shing got lucky to not die there. He straight up got lucky. Unless he calculated the damage out that an HP 5 would take, and he'd walk away with 2 life.
Back in the day, with reference to Denial, we used to call that pawn luck. Our very own community manager here, Pon, used to be a professional player on the last iteration of Denial, which, well, funny enough, was Macetodaface's
andinster is going to get eliminated here. Does manage to hammer out, but he's going to walk right into the Puch. It's not enough damage, though. Shing gets plucked back, and Shing can't keep up the chase, and andinster going to walk out of there. Great combination coming out from Cloud9 to help him escape.
I thought Mace was going to be able to get at least a kill there. Instead, he almost dies himself. A lot of damage coming out from JeffHindla, both from the ult and the sickening strike, and that'll send the mid laner for Denial back to base.
So Puch all actually does no damage. Like
it really doesn't.
Unless you sit in the full duration, it doesn't do a lot of damage. It's really there for zoning. It's a lot of space control, but sometimes now that the slow's not on it, players just aren't scared of it. They can sit there, and you could actually see andinster take like 3-4 ghost ticks and just walk out of there, and it didn't look like his health had dropped at all.
Yeah, Puch is largely about the corpse explosion these days, and of course the third ability, which deters healing. And with the meta being so heal heavy, Puch really has a day in the sun in that regard. But Cloud9 doesn't have much on the side of healing.
It's just going to be JeffHindla, where if JeffHindla throws out his sickening strike and heals up when he's got the 3 tick on him. Can we actually hover over that 3 real quick from Puch?
And we'll take a look at it. It's fleeting breath, and essentially what it does is it's a dot, and if you heal at any point while that dot is on you, you're going to get stunned for a long time. What is that?
3 seconds at max.
Wow.
It's 1 second at base, and then for every tick of health. So it's really good against gods like Hercules, but Sobek, who's only healing up once, the fleeting breath is going to be really useful, and just having a 1 second stun, which can disrupt a lot in a team fight.
Yeah, it's Sickening Strike, and it's interesting. Sickening Strike is just that's the default ability that Sobek winds up using either out of the ultimate or after the pluck, because the tail whip you want to use more for control. So if you're just trying to use the damage, the Sickening Strike is going to be there. And if you put that dot on a Sobek, you're able to really dictate what he can and cannot do.
BaRRaCCuDDa, or excuse me, Bronx wants to take this fight. He takes to this guy, not enough damage though. Both ults expended, and BaRRaCCuDDa, he's going to walk away with a win in that one.
That's exactly how you broke that matchup down. The ultimate, you get the stun, and that stops a lot of the pulse or radiate damage coming out because, well, you can't do anything while you're stunned, Kevin. And then once it was done, the suns rained down, forced Freya right up into the air to the ultimate, and right out of lane in turn because the damage was already done by Hou-Yi.
The continued aggression on a Macetodaface in the mid, andinster just looking for every double tap he can. Just trying to keep Opwash poked down, try and get him low enough so that he can gank. And, you know, now andinster just going to walk over to the soul lane once again. He really wants to get Baskin ahead. I mean, Baskin is already ahead. He already has a tier 1 tower, and andinster just like, all right, we're just going to keep up this aggression. We're going to make sure to lock down Whalrus completely.
Yeah, level 13 on the Wukong as we hit our 10.5-minute mark here in game number 2. Cloud9 up 3 kills to none, and also sporting a 3,000 gold lead.
More importantly in that soul lane is that because of the early aggression, because they were able to lock down Whalrus, is that we saw Baskin be able to build into an early Mystical Mail. And that's what happens. If you haven't started Mystical Mail as a soul laner and you take a death or two and get behind, you can't build into Mystical Mail because it's such a huge price gap and it's a huge price leap. It's like 2,800 gold plus, and you can't wait and sit there that far behind. You have to go into something else. And it looks like he's going into one of the hammers. Could be Frostbound, could be Runeforged, but typically we'll see Runeforged. If you can't get Mystical Mail online because the other soul laner got ahead, that's what the players go.
The Runeforge and the reality of the Runeforge hammer is that, yes, the stats on it are fantastic, but the best stat on Runeforge hammer is the gold. It's just so cheap, so efficient. In the middle lane, a lot of damage coming out. Shing getting aggressive. He'll dive, and Andy will die.
Baskin's rotated over here as well, though. He's level 14. Could try and lock down Macetodaface, who does not have a Geb shield right now. Beads are forced. There's the pluck. The beads were used so early in stealth. The minion explosion, it just decimates him.
So much burst coming out from Nuwa.
Look at that damage. 6,000 on Baskin.
Wow.
3,000 on the next closest player, and that's stealth. And then 2,800 from Macetodaface. I mean, Baskin, that Mystical Mail is just doing so much work right now.
Mystical Mail, Bluestone, Blue Kong, ladies and gentlemen. The king of the monkeys.
They're going to start up this Gold Fury here. Rotation coming in. JeffHindla going to miss the pluck, but immediately drop into his ult and just try and zone out players. Cloud9, they've dropped the Gold Fury. They want to fight, but Denial has done a good job of repositioning themselves, stopping the aggression. That's actually given Macetodaface time to respond. I don't think he can be here in time, though.
Ultimate coming out. This will just secure the Gold Fury. Cloud9 go ahead and grab it. On the right side, Shadowq. Well, he'll grab a death. Brought to him by Baskin. As the Sun Wukong continues his reign of terror, 3-0-1 on the solo lane monkey.
And look at Stealth. His health is so low there. Just Macetodaface is 3 levels behind Stealth and still putting out that much damage. Unfortunately for him, though, he is only level 11, so he dies very easily. Look at this. They're hiding in the fog, trying to catch Macetodaface out, and it actually works. The Thor wall wasn't perfect, but it doesn't matter as Baskin finishes off that kill.
Well, we saw it happen earlier, Adonis. But Macetodaface was able to escape by the skin of his teeth. This time, not able to escape. Too much damage coming out from the Thor, and Cloud9 playing so aggressive, sitting in their enemy jungle. Not just visiting, but actually sitting. And Baskin might pay for it, but here comes the rest of Cloud9.
I almost thought Shing was going to die there, but a nice play from him to get out. And it looks like Cloud9 going to walk out of this one. A great wall from andinster. Shadowq, he wants to fight, though. Whalrus is with them. And you can see the rotation. Shing just going to do back harpies. Just trying to take out Baskin, but no one's in position to lock that out.
Left side, Hunter v. Hunter. BaRRaCCuDDa taking on BronxBombers. BronxBombers reprising his role from game 1 on the Freya. BaRRaCCuDDa switching it up, but that was, of course, by force. Denial banned the Shibboleth that BaRRaCCuDDa played so very well on. So brings out sort of a flavor pick with with the Hou-Yi, and it's proven to be rather successful.
It's a flavor pick, but a lot of the times it's just a pick that Hunter players like into Freya. They like the matchup. They think it's very strong against her. You know, we talked about it earlier, just the sun's raining down. While that time didn't work out, he just is basically trying to force Bronx to ult because he can't just stand in there and he has no movement ability.
And that's Freya's only escape button. We talked about Banish a little bit, and it's difficult to hit, and well, if you don't hit it and your ultimate's down, you're pretty much just toast.
You die very quickly. Unless you have insane amounts of lifesteal, and then it's just trying to hit your autos and hoping you have enough.
Right. The Bancroft, we've seen it sometime in Europe. It's actually a fantastic build. The Bancrofts and Pythagoras piece, that combined with Freya's passive.
The Ataraxia.
Yeah, you just wind up being, your health goes down and then it goes up, and it goes down and then it goes up.
Denial going to try and steal away this attack speed buff. Jeff's going to steal it out, or excuse me, smell it out though, and chase Bronx off of it. And I actually believe Jeff secured that one. Oh, Mace is in trouble.
Damage coming out from the jungler and the solo laner on the side of Cloud9, aggressing onto Macetodaface. He will fall. No Apuash, and
He's going to kill
dies.
Shing. He's going to land on Shing. Actually, no, going to get out. Play it safe for now. But Bronx is rotated in. He's actually trying to catch him. I don't know if he's going to be able to take him out. Yeah, Bronx able to secure that kill in the back line. And Denial, they're going to trade out 1-for-1. I mean, that's the best they could do at this point in the game. They're down 7-2 in kills and frustratingly 5,000 in gold.
And if you giving a kill to the Freya is totally fine. He's 1,000 gold behind in that duo lane. Denial have, obviously they have no problem getting a kill. But if it's going to anybody, I'm sure Freya is a lovely target. Because again, down 1,000 gold. That's
this
rough.
Apuash though, 0-3, and like I said, there's 2 hyper carries that Shadowq is going to have to protect, and so far hasn't been able to protect Macetodaface. I mean, he just keeps getting caught out.
Shadowq building the guard boots this time around again. One of the most notable stats on it is the crowd control reduction. So when it comes to the burst stun out of MLC stealth or the Andy stuns, etc., he'll be stunned for just a little bit less. And this is an item that, again, really almost, I don't want to say unique to Shadowq, but it's pretty much just him for the most part building it.
Sometimes if supports feel like they're going to get dove in, well, we do see it in North America for sure. In Europe, we see it occasionally. We saw it earlier today. But it's really about, am I going to get pressured? Am I going to get dove? And if the answer is yes, and if you feel like you can't escape the ganks and the pressure that the enemy team is going to put onto you, go guard boots, because not only, it's just also giving you protections and health, right? It's just like, I can't go Talaria. I think it's more efficient right now to keep myself alive until 20 minutes, and even though Talaria is going to give the other support more gold, at least I'll be tankier than the other support until that kind of mark where the curve makes the Talaria worth more.
It's actually interesting. Talaria was the norm, and then cooldown boots in a unique situation, or guard boots in a unique situation. Nowadays, I feel like it's much more balanced, but we'll hold that thought on the shoes real quick. It's a great tail whip from Cloud9. Disrupts a lot of what Denial was trying to do right there. MLC Stealth is going to get protected by Andy on the backside, and on the front side, JeffHindla secures a kill by himself with the Sobek ultimate. Shadowq going to roll out and will actually make it out as soon as that crowd control immunity
Bronx is in trouble. He's going to get pinched by BaRRaCCuDDa here. Mark is on him. Stun's going to miss, though. BaRRaCCuDDa a little bit off the mark of the mark there.
Very important that he missed that for BronxBombers. Otherwise, that was a dead Freya. If that stun hit, that was a dead Freya.
The gap shield was over the wall just in case, but it would have been very unlikely he would have been able to walk out of that.
Cloud9 would have chewed right through that Geb shield and the rest of the HP bar, just like they are chewing through this Gold Fury. I mean, quickly, the subjective falls. And just before the 18th minute, Cloud9 picks up their Gold Fury and pushes their lead to about 7,000 gold.
And can we actually take a look at the charts, too? I would like to see the experience, because that's the big one for me. 10,000. Look at the mid lane. Macetodaface, I said earlier, right, he's been out of position. That is entirely incorrect. He has been dove so much, and there's nothing he can do, right? I mean, you're Apuash. A lot of it is your positioning, but sometimes, even if your positioning is perfect, you don't have the team comp, or the enemy team has that team comp like a Sobek, like a Thor, like a Wukong, that can just dive you, and you can't stop it.
Yeah, we've seen it. We saw Macetodaface push up a little bit in the mid lane, and they get smoked by the Thor wall and stun. But the other 3 deaths, were really the result of Cloud9 just heat-seeking missiles going directly for this character. It's very similar. Last game we saw it happen to Bronx. We're seeing the same thing happen to Macetodaface here. Andy just on top of it. All of a sudden, all forces go. Macetodaface usually dies before he gets out of a CC chamber.
Denial going to have to try and play this to the late game, but it's not looking good for them. Cloud9, not a team known to just let up the gas when they have an early lead, and they play a very calculated game, right? They're not going to take major risks and start diving towers and phoenixes, but they'll take a tower, they'll take a buff, they'll take a gold fury, and they'll slowly start to gain on you, and it's going to be hard. Whalrus going to be able to respond here, taking a tier 1 right, but you can see Baskin not even afraid. Cloud9, they're going to take this numbers advantage because they know there's only a tier 1 teleport on Whalrus. There's no ward he can teleport into, and Cloud9, they want to force something on this left-hand side. 5-man grouped up. Whalrus continuing to split push in the meantime.
Just some tap coming out onto Denial, trying to clear out space while the minions reach the tower. And this will allow Cloud9 to deal damage to the structure. All the while, members of Denial not responding to this left side initiative.
They're actually counter pushing. So you can see them here in this mid lane. It's Macetodaface trying to get much needed solo farm along with Shing, but they're going to lose a tier 2 tower. And on the right hand side, andinster is actually the one with the teleport who goes and protects and stops Whalrus split push.
Dashing away is Jeff as Cloud9.
Oh, andinster taking to the sky in the mid lane too. He's going to try and land on Shing.
And he will. Able to slither out of there is the Serqet that popped her beads. So
Whalrus caught lazy backing in a lot of trouble. He's trying to jump over the wall, but he can't find the spot to do it. And Baskin locks that one down.
That is not the first time we've seen that in the
The other side of the wall is much easier to jump over for. That one, it's like a small sliver where you can find it.
It is possible, which is the important thing to communicate. But as you said, it is such a small spot. And that is not the first time we've seen that death happen here in the SPL.
Cloud9, they just walked away with 3 uncontested towers and defended the 2 that Denial was split pushing. And while Bronx is focusing on this left-hand side, he's not going to be able to finish it. I mean, he's afraid. Just doesn't have that much tower damage. 10,000 gold lead for Cloud9, and they're going to back and spend it.
Let's see what these players purchase. Another runic shield. This time, we're going to see it picked up onto Baskin. So Shifter Shield will make another appearance, coming out onto andinster's Thor. But this time, shuffling things around a little bit. Runic Shield onto Baskin. Again, this is the anti-Freya item. No, lowering the attack speed and lowering the magical power.
Zelf's going to be grabbing this red buff, and Cloud9, I don't know if they're likely to force this right-hand side tower or force Fire Giant fight.
Wow. I mean, so normally when you see a solo laner, especially with Mystical Male, there is sort of this idea of quote-unquote fake damage, right? Sometimes you hear that term when it comes to
the DM Vulcan. Brandon? Well, no, that's old. That was old Vulcan was fake damage. Right. It was the Thumper turtle. That thing's just like like tickling you. You're like, what? And then like his ultimate was he made his turret AOE. Crazy. Yeah. And it didn't matter. It wasn't that much damage.
But that is a huge disparity coming back to this one. Baskin and the next highest, the mid laner MLC Stealth. That is a very
Shing
big
blinking
disparity.
in on the right-hand side in the meantime. Baskin trying to lock down Bronx. He's going to get whooped, but no tower for either one. Stealth takes to the sky. Nice gap shield. Shing won't take too much damage. It looks like a disengage on that side.
BronxBombers forced into the sky, but BaRRaCCuDDa and Baskin will still be waiting. Ultimate out from both characters, and down goes the Hunter. Baskin
Whalrus
gets credit.
Whalrus going real deep, trying to chase down JeffHindla here, but he's a little bit too tanky. And actually, all of Denial's backing off of this. Yeah, and look at those spam pings coming out. I don't know who that was, Denial or Cloud9, but andinster's not going to let Whalrus walk away for free.
JeffHindla will.
Boy, he didn't want to.
He certainly did not want to. But as soon as the charge prey was just a hair too short, Cloud9 opts instead to play it safe and walk directly back into their own jungle, allowing Andy to get some farm. Only 2 kills on the side of Denial, and they're both onto andinster.
You know, 5,000 damage, 5,000, almost 6,000 coming out from Macetodaface on this Opwash. He hasn't been able to do anything. He's had no impact, and I mean, it's not really his fault. He's simply just getting dove. I mean, Baskin's level 20. He has no problem diving and just forcing out an early gap shield and then locking Mace down. He has no mobility at all. You can see his actives are actually beads and ages, so no combat blink for him. I mean, if Baskin gets to him, all he can do is immune damage for 2 seconds.
Right now, Andy's the one that might have to immune the damage. He'll find himself in the sky with the ultimate. And there's no way that Serqet ult will be enough damage, but it will hurt him. And will send andinster back to base. So Denial can't find their 3rd kill, but they do leave the Thor.
Oh, BaRRaCCuDDa could be in a lot of trouble here. Nice ages from him. And it looks like Whalrus going to come down over the top. JeffHindla going to keep him alive with that pluck. And just a great disengage from Cloud9 as a whole.
I love the peel coming out from Jeff. Just always defensive minded, understanding that he needs to protect the team.
Oh, Jeff caught lazy backing, could be in a lot of trouble, going to pluck through. Deep into the jungle is Shing, trying to lock him down. Beads are used, one more auto attack, that's going to lock it down. But now Shing, he's on the wrong side of the map. andinster's going to chase him out. Over on the top, double tap, not going to connect. There's the stun, Berserker's Barrage. I don't know if andinster has the damage. One more hit is going to lock down Shing.
Shing's fine. He'll be able to jump away. Thor can't keep up that chase, so Andy will instead just back. Right-hand side, BaRRaCCuDDa picks up 2. MLC Stealth has 1 for himself, and Whalrus is going to fall. Can it be the 3rd? But it's not. Andy comes back after chasing Shing. 2 onto the Hunter, 1 onto the mid lane, 1 onto the jungler, 4 collected by Cloud9 in that last one, and it's 15-3.
And once again, Shing is going this very tanky build. You know, the Jotun straight into the Mail of Renewal, straight into the Titan's Bane. He just doesn't seem to have the damage to lock down these high priority targets he wants. And to be fair though, I mean, Cloud9 have a lot of mobility, a lot of protect, and are very hard to get to. And mostly Stealth taking a lot of damage. I don't think Cloud9 can do this. They need to back off.
Will they though? They have BaRRaCCuDDa here, and that will be their reason to stick around. Shing lurking in the distance.
Shing has ultimate. I mean, he could actually jump on someone and take him out, and Aegis coming out from Stealth early on. Now Shing's in a lot of trouble. Great stun combination from them. Shing locked in place because of his own ultimate, and that's going to be the end of him. And Cloud9 take the Gold Fury.
I like that MLC didn't back there. He got in a lot of trouble, and he didn't immediately run away and back. He immediately ran away and found distance. Stayed in the fight, was able to throw out Shining Metal. Those are the small things. I mean, I give a lot of credit to Hunters when they pull that off. And MLC Stealth with the long-range abilities, no exception to the rule.
Cloud9 going to take their Fire Giant, trudge up this right-hand side, take out the last tower, and, 15,000 golden lead at 25 minutes. Only 3 kills for Denial, and that was off of early ganks from Shing. Since then, we've really seen no activity from the team.
Here's Cloud9 on the right side, looking at a Phoenix, blinking in the Shadowq, gets a double stun onto BaRRaCCuDDa and his mid laner. Up in the sky goes Nuwa, more defensively than anything, but it will lower everyone's health bar, and here comes Andy to clean it up. 1 kill so far on a BronxBombers, another kill as a Whalrus falls, but Macetodaface picks up JeffHindla, Shadowq picks up Andy, Shing picks up Baskin. That's 3 more kills. In this last fight, Denial has doubled their kill count.
And just Cloud9 diving a little bit too deep in that last engagement there. And full credit to Denial, though. They stood strong. There was actually Shadowq who blinked into the backline and started that off. Stayed alive for the entire fight. BronxBombers, unfortunately, fell with his ultimate. But right now, Denial, they're hanging on. They're not winning. Right. They are simply just hanging on right now.
Cloud9 did get the Phoenix, which is the important part. They wanted to get that objective. They do pick that one up.
Cloud9, all 4 members right now are level 20, or 4 members are level 20, and it's just a little bit behind. So that 20k gold lead, it's there right now, but I mean, Denial, they're only going to start to close the gap. It's not going to really get worse for Denial anymore. It's just going to get better for them, but they're still so far behind, and unless Cloud9 dive super deep once again, I don't see them coming back from this.
Yeah, Denial really need to punish Cloud9 on their mistakes, I think. If they want to have a chance in this contest, there's just too much, a little bit too far behind. 1, 5, and 3 on a god whose entire purpose is to deal damage. You can't really turn that around. And when Agni gets behind Adonis, he can still stun. When Isis gets behind, she can still offer control. Apwash, what does he do when he's behind?
He dies.
Yeah, there's just
5 times.
There's just not much for this character to
He gets
offer.
dove by a mystical male Wukong, and he cries himself to sleep.
Actually, that was what we saw in that last engagement, and it worked out to Denial's credit, or in Denial's favor. Cloud9 dove the Apwash too deep, and they paid for it.
They were also taking Phoenix for quite some time,
of course,
and they let Bronx do a lot of damage. But yeah, the problem is they dove the Opwash, but they can't kill him, right? It's different if they can kill him, but when Opwash can get his kid off multiple times, that's when it starts to turn bad. I think they're going to play it safe, though, like you said. Like they're going to just take the Phoenix back from andinster, but he does have Teleport 3, so he will be back into this fight sometime soon. Yep, there he is, straight to the ward.
Double tap coming out. Trying to find the initiation.
Look at Shing in the back line, though.
sinking in here slowly. Still no large ultimates, but a big burst coming out from MLC Stealth is going to send Shing packing, and he'll finish up the job with the ultimate over the top. Whalrus very low, chased out by BaRRaCCuDDa's ultimate, and Cloud9 going to sink and still go very deep. Baskin picked up by BronxBombers, but again, Cloud9 trade 1 for Phoenix.
Super low. I mean, last time Cloud9 only lost, or excuse me, they lost 3. This time, like you said, only 1. Stealth doing so much damage, and Bronx had no idea Stealth was sitting in there. Shadowq going to fall as well. That's a double kill for Stealth. Only 2 players remain for Denial. Now just 1. It's Whalrus versus the world, and I think the world's going to win.
Well, this is where you got to call the audible. Cloud9, they took a Phoenix, and they were very, very happy to go away, farm, maybe get a fire giant, come back for another aggression. But when you take out 3, just go for the Titan. Cloud9 finished that sequence up 2-0 above Denial eSports.
You know, great showing from both teams, I'd say, in game 1, but Cloud9 able to really start advancing their lead slowly in that game, too, and it was very hard for Denial to fight into it, to be fair. I really think Cloud9 just won in the draft phase.
Won in the draft phase, they did get the Sun Wukong, and that's where everything started in the solo lane by Baskin. He did a lot of damage, and he started off sort of 1v1.
This was just a really nicely timed gank and perfect execution from Cloud9, able to lock that down. And then Baskin, I mean, he went off. I wouldn't say he carried the game, but he was such a huge part, able to really shut down Macetodaface every single fight.
Right, and I really like that about the Sun Wukong. Lately, Sun Wukong has risen to become a carry potential character, but for the longest time, Sun Wukong was sort of the annoyance, the disruptor, sort of the thorn in the side of the enemy team, and Baskin actually earns player of the game for doing just that. He didn't carry, he wasn't top damage, he wasn't making the flashy plays, but he was in the middle of every team fight, and that changed almost every fight.
And just non-stop aggression, and really the only couple few deaths we saw from him was in those last couple fights where he just dove too deep. And I loved these plays with Nuwa constantly. I mean, we saw this one, and then we saw the last one where actually Stealth himself hid in his own fog. He actually walked around the corner, sent the fog back, and then turned himself around and walked in it. And Bronx had no idea he had a full minion explosion for half his life and locked him down.
Very clever stuff coming out with the
both his 2 deaths were diving in the okay, he had 2 deaths and they were both diving really deep.
Here we'll get to look at Baskin take out BronxBombers. Very intense stuff. He does have a friend there. It was BaRRaCCuDDa on the side, but great play coming out from Baskin. Earned player of the game. Again, just Baskin out of control. The rest of the team as well. Cloud9 looking so strong here in the second half of the fall split.
And, Baskin, a lot of what he did came down to the fact that he was able to get that lead because of the early gank from andinster. Getting that kill, and then andinster repeatedly going back to that lane, stealing away the blue buff, getting an early tower. We saw Baskin have an absurd amount of damage, but that was because he was able to get that poke early on, get that mystical mail online, and then rotate to these team fights, being very impactful. I mean, he was coming into the team fights 1, 2, 3, even 4 levels ahead, Mace to the face there at the end of the game, and there wasn't much Mace could do. He just didn't have the levels, he didn't have the base damage, or the items to compete with the Wukong's power.
Right, we just saw 3, 4-man knockups with the Ox, and as soon as everybody fell, they got slowed by Master's Will. It was just too much to handle when it came to the Sun Wukong just doing whatever basically the hell he wanted to in that entire game. And Denial, they had their moments, they had their time in the sun, but unfortunately for them, it did not wind up. Game number 2, no hog.
No hog. I don't really think the hog worked out too long, but JeffHindla is going to be on the line for Cloud9. Jeff, how you doing, beautiful?
Howdy, I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Doing pretty good. You sound really excited.
Yes, I'm very excited the purple didn't get taken away from us. That was that was really hard to deal with, I'm not gonna lie.
Actually that's interesting. We don't exactly we won't be able to talk to Shadowq, but as a support yourself, can you give us tell us maybe your best guess as to why Shadowq picked up the hog, and 2, how did that change your plan playing against it?
I definitely think it was for the the early invade which they got, which gave them a ton of pressure, and then we got zoned for a bit in the beginning of the lane. So on that aspect, it was really strong. That was something that caught us off guard a bit, and I think it worked. And I think it was also for earlier golds. Just having that bit of extra burst, right? Even if it's not hog 3, it could definitely help a lot. So I mean, it worked for what they wanted it to do, right?
Right. Yeah. It seemed to disrupt things just a little bit. Now, you
Yeah.
guys, you guys have you guys played fantastically here in the regular season. Sort of before the LAN, you guys had stumbles for one reason or another. You guys played fantastically at LAN, and now you come back online and you're playing great. What's the general feel on the team in the second half of the year as you try to climb back up the standings?
I think everyone's really confident. Everyone's happy with how we're playing, and we're just trying to keep it up and do as good as we can each game.
I want to ask something from you, like the insight from a pro player. Do you go into your games out of the picks and ban phase with this is what I'm doing early game and this is what I'm doing late game? Because in game 1, it really seemed like that 4 Protect 1 comp where your shield was exclusively used for BaRRaCCuDDa unless Shing dove a different target. Was that your plan, was just sit there, do not use shield unless it's to save someone from Shing, or just keep BaRRaCCuDDa alive because he's our hyper carry?
Yeah, absolutely. You try and go into every game with some sort of plan, right? And then it kind of changes throughout the game. But it's always good to have a plan going into it. So if you don't know what's happening, you kind of have like a fallback, right? And yeah, it was like shield BaRRA, make sure he's okay.
Last question before I give you a chance for some shout outs. Game 1, Andy had teleport to gods. Talk to me.
I'm not. I don't remember exactly when he bought it, but it was to get back into the fight.
Right, it was very late in the game.
Yeah, I think he had the TP regular early, and TP regular can't get you that far across the map where he wanted to go. So he got TP the gods. It was good in that situation, so he got it.
I'm assuming there was just like no wards on the team, no deep wards, so he wasn't able to get back into the fight. And obviously, you guys won that last fight, so good job on you guys.
Again, congratulations on your 2 wins. Before I let you go, any shout outs to anybody you want to give?
Yeah, I want to thank C9 for treating us great, like always. My team for playing great, and Stealth getting married today. So a shout out to him. He's a great dude, one of my best friends, and I'm really happy for him.
Awesome.
So
thanks again, and congratulations on your wins.
Thank you.
One more time, congratulations from myself and everybody here at hi-rez to Mr. and Mrs. Stealth as they get married today and celebrate one of the best days of their lives. Coming up next, we've got Elevate versus Enemy. Stay tuned. The last day of Week 6 coming at you live.
And the tragedies and set our spirits free. Together we can bring back home the ones who've lost and give them love, and give them love. They can try to bring us down, but we know we're much too proud. We have what it takes, 'cause we are a new generation. We are a new generation. We are a new generation. place where there are no limitations. We can make our names live on through time and space. They can try to bring us down, but we know we're much too proud to lose faith. We have what it takes. 'Cause we are a new generation.